last section I've called the kingdom and the power. I have long believed that people drawn to power are by definition fundamentally unsuited to hold it. Politicians are the only people in the world who create more problems than they ever solve. They even campaign against the problems that they themselves have created. You and I don't propose the UK's budget, the government does. You and I don't vote on public spending, the House of Commons does. You and I don't write tax law, the House of Commons does. You and I don't set fiscal policy, the government does. You and I don't control monetary policy, the Bank of England does. One Prime Minister, 649 other MEPs, 831 members of the House of Lords, most of whom do not attend on a regular basis, and a few dozen senior judges, totals in all about 1,500 people, out of nearly 60 million. Together, those 1,500 people are directly, legally, morally, and individually responsible for most, if not all, of the problems that plague this country at the present time. I don't care if a politician is offered a seat in a future cabinet or several millions in cash. He has the power to reject both and decide on the merits of each case, and his vote should be in the best interests of his constituents. Have you ever wondered why so many of those 1,500 people spend so much time trying to convince you that what they did was not their fault? They cooperate on this common contract regardless of party, and it appears to be one of the very few things that they all agree on. Our constitution is the supreme law of the land. It gives sole responsibility to the House of Commons to originate and approve all appropriations and taxes. And those 1,500 people and their immediate predecessors stand convicted, in my opinion, by present facts, of incompetence and irresponsibility. Is there a single public or domestic problem that is not traceable directly back to them? And when you fully grasp the enormous reality that 1,500 people exercise the power of government, then it must follow that the way things are is the way they want them to be. If the UK is a member of the EU, against the will of the people, by the way, that is what those 1,500 people currently want. If a tax code is skewed in favour of certain groups, it's because they want it to be skewed in that way. If our budget is in the red, it's because they want it to be in the red. If our armed forces are in Iraq and Afghanistan and now bumbling about in the air above Libya, it's because they want them there. If our defence budget is underfunded, it's because they want it underfunded. If they're on an elite retirement plan that's available to no one else, it's because they want it that way. There are no insoluble government problems. None. They have the power. So let's not let these 1,500 people shift the blame to bureaucrats whom they can hire and fire, or to regulators to whom they give power to regulate, and from whom they can take it away again. Above all, Do not let them con you into the belief that there exists disembodied mystical forces like the economy, inflation, politics, that prevent them from doing what they took an oath to do. They hold power, and they hold it on your authority. We gave it to them, but only on loan and only for 5 years. Most of the taxes and regulations we endure today did not exist 100 years ago, and Great Britain was then one of the most prosperous nations in the world. We had a negligible national debt. We were the world's biggest global trading nation. We had a fast-growing middle class of successful entrepreneurs. Everyone's standard of living was improving, and mum stayed at home to bring up the children. We even survived 2 world wars. But over the last 50 years, with one distinguished exception, that power has been misused to undermine the very fabric of our way of life. Today we are being crushed by mindless and endless interference, layer upon layer of social engineering, surveillance, regulation, bureaucracy, officialdom gone mad, and all imposed by the very people elected to look after our best interests. Those 1,500 people, ladies and gentlemen, and their immediate antecedents are responsible. They and they alone had the power. They and they alone are fully accountable to the people of these islands. They answer to us, not the other way around. And they forget it at their peril. The real problem we have today is replacing these kids in short trousers with people who have some real experience of life and want to put something back. People with the wisdom to act in the best interests of the people who sent them there. But that, I'm afraid, brings me back to where I started. The people drawn to power are, by definition, fundamentally unsuited to hold it. Thank you.